watching something. It was such a cool dream, so I thought, maybe this person is from that world. So, anyway, he came right next to my bed and just looked at me really curiously. I looked at him really curiously as well, and then he faded totally, and suddenly I could move again. That was pretty cool. I was kind of calm after that. But okay, so I've been reading some things about sleep paralysis and watching some videos on YouTube, which are really, really interesting and I think really helpful to me. So some people tend to think that it's just your imagination, and then I think some other people think that these beings that you see are actually real, and I think I want to believe it's my imagination. So I kind of tend towards that side. I want to just believe it's my imagination. And if it is, it's even more amazing to think that something like your thoughts that you have inside your brain are actually manifesting themselves in front of your eyes, and then within 1 second everything's gone and you're back in the real world. So anyway, that's my experience with sleep paralysis. And also I had a question for people that experienced it a lot more. I've only experienced it 3 times within 6 months, and before then nothing like it, and since then I haven't really experienced, thank God. But so you people out there, what do you think makes you have sleep paralysis? Is there any time where you get it more often than other times? And is there anyone that used to have it and then it never ever happened to them again? So I kind of hope it never happens to me again, but it's pretty scary. So anyway, thanks for listening, anyone who's watching, and good luck to everybody.
I saw a figure walking across the room in a druidic robe, and it walks into this little indentation area where there was a window. It was a really pointless part of the room. It just was a little, maybe 3x3 square that kind of protruded outwards from the rest of the room, and there was the window there. Window space, I guess it might be called. Good a name for it as any. And I entered that, and I didn't hear the window open, so I assumed it must still be there. So I spent every hour between whenever I saw it, I'd imagine it was probably about 2 a.m. until daybreak, staring at that little enclave or window space, whatever the hell you want to call it, waiting for it to re-emerge. Of course it never did, and when day broke, gathered up the courage to check, and there was nothing there, of course. Didn't have any other encounters with that for a long time, probably until I was about 15 or 16, and maybe even a little older. No, I guess it was probably about 15. When I saw it again, I was lying in bed once more, and I opened my eyes, and at the edge of the bed there was this, the typical alien frame that we're used to in these times, of the gargantuan head and the scrawny, emaciated little body, and it raised its hand and did this little gesture, and I fell asleep, just like in the movie Dark City. And I didn't think, I fell right back to sleep. I wasn't any scared or anything like that. It wasn't until the next morning I woke up and went, whoa, what the fuck was that? What happened? And why did I just go to sleep? And I made a vow that next time I saw that thing, I was going to jump out of my bed and kick the living shit out of it. It was only a few months later that I saw it again. Same scenario. I wake up, I see it at the edge of my bed. This time I didn't give it time to do its little gesture. I just jumped up and started fucking attacking it. And of course there was nothing there but air. When I jumped at it, it dissipated. And then I looked up and saw its head floating without a body. And maybe I'm just adding this detail now for the sake of the story element, or maybe I really remember it like that, I don't know. But it winked at me, and its face was covered in these weird tattoos. The next time I remember it, I remember lying in bed a few years later. This was the last time I saw it, probably about 20 at the time. I was lying there with my eyes closed, and I just came to the realization it's standing right at the edge of my bed watching me. So, of course, I open my eyes and I find myself looking right at it. I throw a punch at it, and of course it floats, kind of hovers at high speed to the back of the room and disintegrates as it hits the wall. I later, probably only about a year ago, read about what's called hypnopompic hallucinations, wherein you see not just figures, but a multitude of hallucinations right upon waking from slumber. That's why it was incorporating elements from movies that I had seen, like Dark City, why it was doing the very same sleep hand gesture, and of course I obeyed and slept. So that was a very confusing thing to me for a long time. Wasn't really sure what to do with that. But of course, once I learned the explanation, I ceased to really worry about it at all. Of course, sometimes I still toy with the idea of the explanation being prolonged and actually being some kind of extra-dimensional being. But of course, I, like any good atheist, take into account the Carl Sagan quote about extraordinary claims, and I apply that to my own claims, the claims that I might make to myself, that I was visited by an extra-dimensional or interstellar being. And I say to myself, okay, well, what's the more likely, that I'm experiencing these hypnopompic hallucinations that have been studied and, we know exist, or I have been visited by interstellar beings who have nothing better to do than pester me? And I have to decide which of those is the more likely. And of course I come to the conclusion that it's more likely that I am merely hallucinating. I also have this thing called sleep paralysis, where this is another thing that is commonly reported as alien abduction and alien visitation. Before we had the alien meme floating around there, it used to be incubus, incubi and succubi. I guess those are the plural forms of incubus and succubus. And so on and so forth. Basically, sleep deprivation is a very unsettling sensation. You wake up and you feel tingling all over.